Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial. Let me tell you, there's no business like show business. The show must go on. Ladies and gentlemen, I woke up this morning with like a frog in my voice, and my nose is running a little bit. I got a little bit of but the show must go on. And so if I should sneeze, I have Kleenex here, and I have a little trash thing over here, and so I'm moving along pretty good. So my guest today is Mike Morsch. Mike Morsch is a good friend of mine, and he is a man of all reasons. He covers everything like the do. Let me tell you, he's a newspaper editor, executive, 15 newspapers, and it was Norristown, Times Herald, the Weekly, Montgomery Life, and he's loaded. Now he is in the courthouse, and he has to do with one of the most important obligations for every citizen, to vote. And he's in charge of the votes, and he'll tell you all about that. I don't know, I usually vote 4 or 5 times. I mean, it make everybody happy. But Mike Morsch here is also a baseball fan, and I'm gonna ask him some questions about baseball. So, without further ado, in this corner, Wayne, Mike Morsch.
Hi, Hank.
Mike, welcome to Hank Cisco Show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me all about it. Now,
What do you want to know about?
I want to know about you.
You want to know about me? I'm not from around here originally.
No?
I'm from Illinois.
Strangers in the night.
That's right. You sing it better than I do. We first met about 13, 14 years ago when I moved to the Norristown area to be the editor of the Times Herald.
Right, you were editor of the Times Herald, right.
Back in 2000. Spent a couple of years there. You remember what you first told me when we met the first time?
I don't remember.
You said you want to know, if you want to know, what is it?
If you want to walk on water, you got to know where the rocks are.
That's right.
And I'm one of the rocks.
He's one of the rocks.
Make sure you find the rocks where you're going to move, especially you high school students, Look out there and see who can help you and who you can help. One hand washes the other. But if you want to walk on water, you got to know where the rocks are and look for them rocks.
And how did we do that? Do you remember how we did that first time?
I don't remember now.
Well, you would come and pick me up a couple of times a week at the Times Herald. We'd go to lunch. We'd meet different people in Norristown and around.
Right.
We'd just go and meet and hang out and have lunch.
That brings us back to another Cisco word. You want to swim, you got to get in the water.
Yep.
Meet people. Say hello. Say hello. The guy said hello to one time. The guy says, what do you say hello to me for? You don't know me. What do you mean? Okay. Next day I see him. I says, hello. He says, you don't know me. I said, I met you yesterday. So be happy. I'm going to be 90 November the 9th. Be happy, Right?
You remember the one time we drove around Norristown. We were going to have lunch, and we had lunch, and you were dropping me back off on Markley Street there in front of the Times Herald. And it had rained, and there were puddles all over the place, but it had stopped raining to the point where you had rolled your window down. And you pulled up on Markley Street right in front of the Times Herald there. Right. And a car came by us and splashed water. Hit the puddle right into your ear in front of the Times Herald there. So, we had a good laugh about that, and then you dropped me off. I went back upstairs to my office, and about 10 minutes later, you called me. And you said, guess what happened to me after that? I said, what? You were already all wet. And you said, well, the sun came out, so I wanted to put my visor down. And when I grabbed to put the visor down, there was water above it. And it was full of water, hit you in the face again while you were driving.
Oh, man.
That's a great story.
Well, I took an extra shower that day.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, now you were from Iowa, right?
I went to University of Iowa, yes.
That's right. And also you were you had charge of writing the newspaper for Illinois, University of Illinois?
The University of Illinois, yes. I was in charge of a public policy magazine there for a while.
Yeah, you at the magazine like every college has a magazine. So you were editor of that, right?
Yes.
And then you came on back to Norristown, and then you got Montgomery Life.
Right.
Now, but your big interest, I guess, I don't know why you never became a big league baseball player, because you know so much about it and you have so many things, remembrance and all, So tell me, what got you involved with baseball? How with your dad? I met your dad and your mom,
Yeah. My dad was a baseball player. He played baseball for Illinois State University back in the early 50s. And he actually had a tryout with the Chicago Cubs back then. He did not make the team, but he did have a tryout. And I still have the letter. I still have the letter that the Cubs wrote him inviting him to the tryout. It's a very nice memento for me. But we were always a baseball family. We went to games in St. Louis and Chicago, and because that's where we were close to, Milwaukee. And in 1970, we drove all the way out to New York, to Cooperstown, New York, to see the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yeah. And on the
Is
way.
that an annual thing or every other so many years?
It is in Cooperstown. It's an annual thing.
An annual thing.
Yeah. And back then, it was a long drive. I can remember my dad, when we pulled into New York, we stayed in Cooperstown. We stayed at the...
Well, how close is Cooperstown to what other big cities? Syracuse?
No, it's out in the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
It's not easy to get to, but it's out in...
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not easy.
But in 1970, I can remember my dad complaining about this resort hotel that we were staying at in Cooperstown called the Hotel Otasaka. It's still up there. It's a resort now. But I can remember him complaining in 1970 about how expensive it was. You know what it cost per night? $60 a night.
Wow, $60.
And he was complaining about that.
$60 now is your phone bill.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. Oh
but as I got older, I always played baseball, and I was fortunate enough to be good enough at it that I got a college scholarship, and I was able to...
In baseball?
Yeah, in baseball.
Baseball.
And fortunately for me, I was paying attention in class while I was playing baseball and getting a degree in journalism.
What, now, you followed baseball. That's a tough business, isn't it? I mean, you got the minor leagues and...
It is.
You know, is it...
Even for the players that are really good, it's hard to make it to the big leagues. It really is, and it's a long process, and you got to be really good for a long time and continue to improve.
Right. Now, from the newspaper man, now you are now working at the courthouse.
I am.
Right? All right.
I am.
And your commissioners, what's the name? Shapiro.
Commissioner Shapiro, Commissioner Richards, and Commissioner Castor. Yes.
And Castor and Richard, right?
Commissioner Richards. Yes.
Right. So they unanimously appointed you.
Yes,
right?
they did.
Now, the voting machines, right? You have to do that all year round. That's not a one-day thing like the second or the first Tuesday or something.
Right. We have 2 elections a year, of course, one in the spring and one in the fall. We got one coming up here on November 5th, which is the general election. The primary election is the one in the spring. But I am Director of Voter Services for Montgomery County, and that there's a lot of moving parts in that. We are in charge of the elections, essentially. Commissioner Richards is the election board chairman. She's the ultimate authority there, but so I work for her.
The judges oversee, like election night, the judges stand by in case there's a problem?
Right, the judges are there, the poll watchers are there, the poll workers are there. We can always use poll workers, we're always looking for poll workers. But, so it's a lot more than just the machines. We take the candidate filings when they file their official papers. We take those papers.
Wait, somebody's running for office?
Yeah, they file the papers.
You oversee that too?
They file the papers with us.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know somebody was running for some kind of office, and he filed the papers in Norristown, and he should have filed them in the courthouse, and he didn't make the deadline or something, and he couldn't get in there.
There is a deadline.
So you have to know where to drop your papers.
Yep, you can drop them off at my office.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot more, and right now we're looking at polling precinct places, making sure that the voters can easily get to their polling precincts.
Kind of make it easier for people to find.
We have a lot of voters, and we want to make sure that they have an equal opportunity to cast their ballot.
Well, and you also look out for senior citizens.
We
like
do.
Me.
We do.
I don't have to walk 15 miles to go vote.
I was just before I stopped over here today. I was in Lansdale looking at a place, and I had you in mind because I thought, can Hank walk from the front door back to this room where they want to vote? And I determined that you couldn't make it. So.
All right. Well. But now you take like a big Shenandoah, what is it?
Shenandoah.
They have a voting there, or they
yeah,
have
you
to
can
go
vote
to
there.
The country club.
No, Shenandoah's one of the polling places.
That makes it easier for you. Got hundreds of people there, you know.
Right. We try to make it convenient for the voter.
You have firehouses, you have schools,
churches
too.
Yeah.
You get the holy vote, right?
Yeah.
Amen. Now, you're interested in writing, naturally. When you're a newspaper editor, you edit, you write, you do. You had a column. What was a column out in left field?
Out of left field was called. I wrote it for 10 years.
And you had to make a deadline for...
every week. Every week for 10 years. I ended up writing...
Where did you get the ideas?
I don't know. I wrote about you getting wet in the car that day, didn't I? Yeah, that was one of those ideas.
Yeah, one time he said, I like to see, Cisco likes his name in print. And you put my name in about 50 times.
I did. I talked about how you like to see your name in print. And I just wrote Hank Cisco, Hank Cisco, Hank Cisco several times. You got that one?
The other day.
Been in it a lot of times. I wrote a column about you when we had the boxing matches out in King of Prussia.
Yeah,
when
right.
you were the ring announcer that
Right,
night. Remember?
right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good times, and you come to the Manjuni.
Oh, the
and we come to the
Manjuni.
Manjuni, you're the mandolin player.
I am the mandolin player. See,
See,
that was all new to me when I moved out here. You know, I didn't realize how great a social event that was. And the first time we used to be over in Bridgeport, you remember?
Yeah, over
the Dolce Vita.
Yeah.
And oh my, we just laughed and told stories and sang and had a wonderful time. And we still do today. We still do it today.
In fact, we're going to have one tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
And it's tough, you know. There's no agenda, you know. And who can make it, can make it. Who don't, you know. Sometimes have 50 guys, 25, whatever. You know? So now you did that. You're a newspaper editor. You're baseball. You know, you're a family man. You get everything's moving along. Judy, say about Judy.
Yeah, Judy is my wife.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate our. I got to get this right now. We're going to celebrate our 6th wedding anniversary in October here.
Oh, yeah. And you know, when you, what was it? The wedding. How much it cost for a wedding?
Oh yeah, we got married at the same place, didn't we? At North Hills Country Club.
Yeah.
And you showed me the bill. It was cost you what, $150?
$160.
$160.
I had a whole full course meal for my family, everything, because I knew the manager. The manager, he took care of me, you know.
That was what year?
Huh?
What year?
Oh, that was before George Washington was elected. You know, it was around that time.
Yeah. Well, I paid substantially more than $160 for that wedding. Yeah.
Well, you know, you're a man on the move, and you're always helping somebody. You write a column. Somebody needs doing a fundraiser or something. You put it in there, and now you're in this here job. But now you change but you did something that I think you wanted to do tell people something about growing up.
Yeah.
Okay, growing up. Growing up one place, growing up another place, and then you wrote a book.
I did.
And this book here is called
Dancing in My Underwear.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Dancing under my underwear. Under my underwear.
In my underwear. Yeah, my underwear.
Okay.
You're not dancing in my underwear. I'm dancing in my underwear.
So tell me, and here's a picture of you and Judy in the back.
Yeah.
Right? And now, this book, I could use this big word, inspired you. What inspired you to write a book like this?
It was actually kind of an accident. I had, you know, I was a newspaper man for 37 years before I took the job with the county. And I had interviewed a lot of people over the years, and I had realized that I had volunteered to do stories on some of the musicians and artists that I grew up with listening to in the 1960s and 70s.
Oh, okay.
So
now I got the connection.
Whenever they would come through the Philadelphia area, we would write a story on their show and preview it for the readers.
And they would be showing what movie? I mean, theater.
Well, it could be the Keswick Theater in Glenside, or the Sellersville Theater, the Tower Theater in Upper Darby, anywhere around the greater Philadelphia.
We get an invite to interview them.
Yeah. And so if they were going to appear there, then they would invite us to interview, and during the course of a conversation, since they were favorites of mine, you know, they grew up, I would ask them certain questions, and I had gathered more information from these people than I could use in a story for the paper. You know, I had gathered a whole lot of information.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And I didn't have anything to do with that extra information.
Too much about that. You'll think you're plugging them,
Right.
you know, and then pay for whatever. Remember the disc jockeys all got in trouble
Exactly.
at times? Yeah,
So,
be careful.
so I had all this extra information, and I didn't have an outlet for it. And I thought, well, you know what, maybe I should, I really wanted to write a memoir for my kids. I wanted to have some written record so that my children and my future grandchildren will be able to look back and say, here's what this guy was doing, you know, at this point.
You hook up with John Doyle, myself, I'm on a committee with the theater here in Norristown, you know, with your, well, I shouldn't say experience, you're not a musician, but your knowledge and your know-how on theater, and I think that's what Norristown needs, you know, theater. I know that you had your big writing at the Ambler Theater, which is now, it used to be a theater, but
it's still a movie theater.
Movie theater.
Yeah, it's still a movie thing.
Show business.
Well, you can if you. Yeah, it's more of a movie theater.
And you had it there.
I had a book signing, the original book signing there in June of 2012.
Yeah.
And we had about you were there, right?
Yeah, sure.
You brought some tomato pies.
what was there? Oscar Vance was there. Drew Monahan. All the
Al
guys from the
DiGennaro.
Manjuni.
Yeah, all the Manjuni guys
Yeah.
were there.
And then you had some musicians there. You got
Yeah.
a guy was singing.
Yeah.
I forget what he was singing songs like.
He was singing songs out of the book that I mentioned in the book. So,
yeah, but
that's,
is that this book is for sale too?
It is.
You know, yeah, where you can if I want to buy one,
you gotta buy
I
it
do
direct-
have one.
You got to buy it directly from me, or you can go to the educationalpublisher.com. It's called the Educational Publisher.
Yeah, no place, no store.
No
anything?
stores around here, no.
Why not?
Nobody knows me.
Well, you know you now. I'll put some Greco-Roman. I'll put a couple of books over here and there where we do it, you know. And to write a book, what is the procedure? What do you have to do?
Well, it's not.
How do you
certainly not,
motivate a publisher?
Well,
you have
you have to have a product that a publisher will want to publish. And I was lucky because the educational publisher out of Columbus, Ohio, the head guy in charge there happens to be a big music fan.
Oh.
And he also happens to be a big fan of Hall and Oates, who are from this area, Darrell Hall and John Oates. Oates is from North Wales and Hall is from the Pottstown area. And they were in this first book. Interviews with them were in this first book, and he was a big fan of those guys, so he was very happy to...
and you have pictures here.
Yeah.
Here he is singing here. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's he's singing. What's his name?
Dan May.
Yeah.
Dan May. He performed on the night of the book launch party, yes.
You know, I sang at the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company one time. You
did. The life insurance company.
yeah.
But see, with this book, it only took me 5 weeks to write.
5 weeks?
5 weeks, and that's unusual because what happened was
you were loaded with information.
I had it all in my head, and I was once I started, but I didn't have time to write during the day with my job.
Right.
So I would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would write from 2 to about 5.
Wow.
Go back to bed for an hour, then get up and go to work.
You sound like President Nixon. His wife says he used to get up 2 o'clock in the morning talking in the thing.
Do I look like President Nixon?
Well, you're a solid Democrat, right?
I'm nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan, okay, whatever. Now Nixon. Well, I appreciate all presidents, whatever they do, but my favorite is Harry Truman.
Harry Truman.
Never.
Wasn't he a Democrat?
Huh?
Wasn't he a Democrat?
Yeah. I'm a Republican, but he's Democrat.
What were you thinking?
Well, I go for a man. I don't go for the party.
Okay,
the guy's a good man, you know. And when he left the White House, out of office, him and his wife drove all the way back in a car
to Missouri, right?
Independence, Missouri.
He's from Missouri.
There's just a good guy, you know. No, he didn't have 15 guys guarding him, you know, and all that stuff. Well, things changed too. Nobody want to fool with him, you know.
So now I'm writing a second book.
All right, now tell me now. This was successful, right?
Success.
Yeah. So
yes.
Now, this second book, what's it about?
This one, the topics are a little similar. It's called The Vinyl Dialogues.
What?
The Vinyl Dialogues. So it's conversations about records. But I focused on the 1970s because that was the era that I grew up. So I'm focusing on music from the 1970s. Now this one's a little different. I have a new job with the county, so I really don't have time. Writing's my hobby now, not my vocation.
Well, you got it. You know.
So what I have to do now is I have to do my interviews later in the evenings or on the weekends, and that's when I can write. But I'm so tired from working, I can't write in the middle of the night anymore. So I got to find some time on the weekends to write.
Do you have any contact with some of these here musicians? Like you want to interview them or something like that?
Yeah. In fact, I'm about 2/3 of the way through with this one.
Why don't we try to hook up with John Doyle? Maybe we get the theater. You know, it holds about 85 people or so. You know, put on a little talk or a little song.
Let's talk about it.
Or,
let's talk about it.
You know, that would be another book signing there, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
Rather than going away to Ambler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for your next book, you do it at the theater.
Let's work it out.
Huh?
Let's work it out.
Good. And in this book here, you say how long does it take to do this?
5 weeks. This next book's going to take me a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because...
timing's different, yeah.
But if Shapiro turns around and sees you over there writing about a book,
you're
going to be out the door.
That's right, can't do that now. I serve it, I'm a taxpayer. I serve the taxpayer now.
Right. I pay your wages.
That's right.
Right. Well, this TV, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Has you really?
Yeah, I get paid weekly, very weekly.
Very weekly.
I get paid shibuji. In Italian, that means onions. But
Shibuji?
Shibuji.
Shibuji.
Shibuji. Okay, so, and it makes you cry.
Does it?
It makes you cry.
You know, the only Italian I know is the naughty words that you taught me.
No,
That's the only Italian I know. I can't say them here. No.
Here.
Yeah.
But my mom, when she got mad, she got, oh, you know, she had over here with all teeth marks, you know. But we had a lot of things like this. Oh, I don't care, you know. There's different symbols, you know. There's some that you don't use.
That's
you know.
right. That's right.
But other than that, now, you came in Iowa. What do you miss about Iowa that you don't have over here?
I was just back not too long
I know
ago.
it's your mom and pop and all that.
Yeah,
there,
my
but I'm
mom's still
saying
there. Yeah, she's in Illinois.
Environment. And,
My daughter's in school in Iowa right now. I took her back.
yeah?
Yeah, I took her back in August.
why did she pick that?
You know, I don't know. She went to Springford High School, and she
I
ended
know
up going back to
Springford, and
Iowa.
she wanted to go there.
She's a long way from home. Takes 16 hours to drive it. I just drove her back last month.
Oh my
To start.
God.
She's starting her second
How'd she
year.
like it?
She likes it. She likes it.
What's she taking up?
She's taking up film and theater.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then she could come over here to
She
Center
could.
Theater.
She could.
Huh?
So,
What's her name?
Lexi.
Lex.
And my oldest daughter,
Is that like
Kylie.
a car, Lexus?
No, Lexi with an I at the
Oh.
end. My oldest daughter, Kylie.
I don't know. I just come to this country. I don't know. I don't know.
My oldest daughter lives in Conshohocken. Her name is Kylie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
she went to the ball game with me last night.
Who?
My oldest daughter, Kylie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she and I went to the,
The ball game last night,
Last
and
night.
they won.
Yeah, they did.
All right, tell me about the Phillies. All right, tell me what you know about baseball. Tell me something I don't know, something about baseball that I should know.
You know the words to take me out to the ball game?
Yeah, take me out, dude. I sing that to my wife, Dolores. You know,
Yeah?
she's Alzheimer's.
Yeah?
She's a 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Then you know everything you need to know about going to the ball game right there.
Huh?
Just stand up in seventh
Do they
inning.
have somebody singing that now? The
they
guy
do it
in
o-
Chicago used to do it.
Yeah, Harry Carey, but he's gone. But
gone, yeah.
no, they play it over
He's
the
up
PA.
singing Heaven.
Yeah, singing badly.
Right, yeah. So, now, what do you think of this new manager?
Well, he used to play for the Chicago Cubs. So I watched him play back in the 80s for the Cubs. I was living in
Oh.
suburban Chicago when he played for the Cubs. So yeah.
Play with the Cubs.
Yeah, he was an original Phillies draft choice, but they traded him before he got to the
Well,
big
you know,
leagues.
they changed managers. Do you think that the manager was the cause of
No,
them not losing?
I do not.
Never.
I do not. It wasn't Charlie Manuel's fault, the former
Why
manager.
did they
The
do
players didn't perform for him, and some of them didn't stay healthy, which sometimes you can't avoid.
that? Did it?
But it wasn't his fault at all. The players didn't produce. It all rests with the players.
Yeah, because they lose some games real bad, and
The
they win
Phillies-
some games real
But the
good.
Phillies, their good players are getting older, and
Yeah,
they played a lot. They gave us a lot of good times for the last 5 or 6 years.
And then, do you think some of the trades they made might have hurt them? Like the one guy that's from Hawaii, he's out in
Victorino.
Boston.
Yeah, I don't think that
He
would
said
hurt
he's
him too
doing
much.
good
I
up
mean,
there.
He is, he may have had 1 or 2 years left here, but I understood why they did it when they did it. It's just that the trades that they made didn't pay off.
You
for
had to
them.
pay,
they
you get
didn't pay
one,
off.
get another.
Yeah.
And what position did you play?
First base.
First base?
Yeah, I couldn't run.
Who were some of the most famous first basemen that you remember?
Lou
Dolph Camilli.
Tough, Camille. Lou Gehrig was a first baseman.
Who?
Lou Gehrig.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw Lou Gehrig. I saw Maggio, Tony Lazzari, Phil Rizzuto.
You're from New York, right?
Yeah, I was born in Brooklyn, but
Yeah.
I come over here like I was 5 or 6 years old. But I used to watch the games there. You know,
You weren't a
Brooklyn, New York.
You weren't a Brooklyn fan, the Dodgers?
I'm the Brooklyn. Yeah, I like it all because of Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my heart goes where my friends are,
Yeah.
my relations. You know,
Yeah.
my gumbadas are gumbadas. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if I don't know the guy, forget about him. You know, I don't need him. You know, so like Norristown High School. You know, I remember when I was a policeman, the stands used to be 8,000-9,000 people watching the games. Now, you know, it's not that. They used
You
to
know,
be
when I
Friday
walked
nights.
when I came into school today, one of the ladies at the front desk, I said I was waiting for Hank Cisco, and she said, "You know what? I used to be one of his crossing guards."
Yeah.
I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're crossing guards.
Oh yeah, I had in the beginning of the year. I would talk to the kid. Never cross when the light is red. The light is red. The light is red. Never cross when the light is red. My fair children. And then Always do what teacher says. And then you put this little halo over your head, always do what teacher says, So I had a lot of fun. A lot of people remember that. We started singing the song,
Yeah, I've heard other people sing the
But,
song.
yeah, well, yeah. Get there. Like I say, I used to sing tenor, but now I sing for 5s and 2s and $3.
Yeah. How's
That's
those
a
$3
lousy
bills
joke.
working out for
That's
you?
a lousy joke.
I know.
I know.
Social Security joke.
So you'll get him when you're 65.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
You like to sing?
yeah. Well, this guy told me, he says one time, he says, I don't know about my wife. He says, she likes to sing. He says, but every time she sings, I go out on the porch. I don't want people to think I'm choking her, So
I haven't heard that one.
No, well, it's another Social Security joke. But I think, what are some of the challenges of the voters' service? What's some of the challenges we have?
Yeah, voter services. You want to be, you want to make, you want to give everybody an opportunity to vote
Right.
fairly and with as much ease as possible, and still keep everything fair and on the up and up and stuff like that. Yeah. Finding appropriate polling places in each of the polling precincts is difficult in some areas. Finding enough volunteers to work, well, they're paid. Finding enough election judges and poll workers, which let me clarify, they are paid positions.
Who pays them? The party?
The county.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it comes out of my budget.
Oh, you mean the people that stay behind the register?
Yeah,
okay.
The poll workers, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
And finding enough people to do that is always a challenge. Getting the votes counted on election night. You're gathering votes from all parts of the county and getting them counted in a timely and accurate manner in a preliminary count like that. That's a challenge.
Yeah, I remember when Dick Dean was the editor of Times Herald, and they used to election night, and they used to have to stand there. They have the guys waiting, making phone calls, calling districts in, writing them down. Now it's all computerized and all, but
it's not all computerized.
But I used to bring pizzas, and they were up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. When I first started in newspapers, when we had on election night, we had one paper I worked at in Illinois. We had big windows, big glass windows in the front.
Yeah.
And as the results would come in, we would write them in hand on a big sheet of paper, and then we'd tape them to the front of the window, and people would stand on the sidewalk to look for those results. That was all before the computers and things like that.
But and you store, they store these things up on Buttonwood and
the machines are all secure in a secure building.
So you got to make sure they're oiled and make sure they're working.
They're charged up. You have to charge them up. Yeah, they got to make sure they're in working order. But yeah, there's a lot of those machines.
Mike, the half hour is over.
Already?
And Mike, it's been a pleasure,
Thanks, Hank.
and you're a success, man. I idolize a guy like you that goes from one opportunity to another opportunity, and you're my friend, always been, and always will be. So you're a writer, you're an editor, you're now
I'm a voter services guy.
Dancing in my underwear, and he got another book coming out. So I'm going to have him back here later on. We're going to talk about show business because he's involved with show business. So ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, keep bobbing and weaving. May God bless each and every one of you. A la salud. Ready? A la salud means to your health. And you got your health, baby. You got everything.
What are we drinking?
Huh?
What are we drinking?
It's water.
Water, okay.
Aqua.